You have read 3 books. You have refilled the water cup twice. You have answered a question about dinosaurs that you cannot remember being asked. It is 40 minutes past bedtime. Your back is stiff from crouching by the bed, and your child has just announced that their foot feels weird. You are not failing. You are exhausted, and you are not alone. Bedtime resistance is one of the most universal battles in households with young children. Here is something that might surprise you. In the Netherlands, researchers who study family sleep have found that Dutch toddlers, on average, get roughly 30 to 60 minutes more sleep per night than their American or British peers. And Dutch children, year after year, top UNICEF's rankings for child well-being in the wealthy world. The reason is not genetics. It is not luck. It is a script, a quiet, almost boring script that Dutch parents use at bedtime. This video gives you 3 of those scripts, the exact words, and the research behind why they work without battles, bribes, or hour-long routines. Researchers who study Dutch family sleep routines have observed something that strikes most North American and British parents as almost unreal. Dutch toddlers tend to go to bed early, often between 6:30 and 7:30 in the evening, and they tend to stay there. The bedtime routine itself is not elaborate. It is short, it is predictable, and it is, on purpose, a little bit boring. The reason is cultural. Dutch parenting research keeps circling back to 3 words: regelmaat, reinheid, rust. Regelmaat means regularity. Reinheid means cleanliness or order. Rust means rest. These 3 R's have been central to Dutch family life for generations, and they frame sleep not as a nightly negotiation, but as part of the infrastructure of childhood, as non-negotiable as brushing teeth or wearing shoes in the rain. There is also a related idea that has crossed into English in recent years, niksen, which roughly translates as the virtue of doing nothing. Dutch families tend to build small pockets of niksen into the day, and bedtime is, in many homes, the biggest one. It is a window of deliberate quiet. Studies published in Acta Pediatrica comparing Dutch and American infant sleep have repeatedly found that the Dutch emphasis on predictable, low-stimulation evenings is associated with longer, more consolidated sleep in young children. The routine is shorter. The child sleeps longer. That is the paradox at the heart of this video. Here is the reframe that Dutch sleep researchers keep returning to. In many American and British homes, bedtime is treated as a performance, a special event that needs songs, stories, back rubs, and elaborate send-offs. And when a child resists, most parents read it as a problem to solve with more connection, more stories, more engagement. The Dutch frame reads it differently. Bedtime is not a performance. It is a transition, and the job of a transition is to get quieter, dimmer, and less interesting than the moment before it. In Dutch developmental thinking, a child who stalls at bedtime is not being defiant. They are responding perfectly logically to signals that the day is still happening. If the parent is warm, animated, making jokes, answering questions, the child's brain reads that, correctly, as daytime. The Dutch approach flips the signal. The parent becomes calmer. The room becomes dimmer. The voice becomes slower and, honestly, a bit dull. You're not being cold. You are being boring on purpose, which is a completely different thing. You are telling your child's nervous system, with every cue, that nothing interesting is going to happen for the next 12 hours. Every script that follows is built on that single idea. The bedroom is not a stage. It is a soft, quiet place where very little is going on. And that is exactly what makes it safe to fall asleep. Here's your first script. Use this one every night at the same hinge point, the moment the last book closes and the light is about to go off. This is the script that signals, unmistakably, that the day is over. The goal is to sound warm, short, and slightly dull, not cold, not rushed, just quiet. When the book is finished, do not ask what they want to talk about. Do not linger. Close the book, turn the main light off, and say, "It is quiet time now. The day is done. I love you. Good night." That is the whole script. 4 short sentences, same words, same order, every single night. If your child asks a question after the script, you can answer once, very briefly, in a flat voice. Say, "We can talk about that tomorrow. It is sleep time now." Then do not answer again, even if the question comes back. If your child protests or gets upset, do not bargain. Stay physically close if they need you, but keep your voice low and your words few. Repeat only, "It is quiet time now. The day is done." Researchers who study Dutch bedtime routines describe this kind of script as a verbal threshold. It is a consistent, almost ritual phrase that marks the crossing from day into night. The predictability is the medicine. When the same 4 sentences arrive in the same order every night, a child's nervous system learns to recognize them as a cue, the way it recognizes a lullaby or the feel of a familiar blanket. The specific words matter less than the sameness of them. You are not giving a speech. You are ringing a tiny bell that says, "The day is over." And because the script is short and flat, not a performance, not a negotiation, it is almost impossible for your child to escalate it. There is nothing to argue with. There is just a door gently closing on the day. Use this script for the cascade. You know the cascade. One more sip of water, one more hug, one more song, one more question about whether sharks can blink. Every request is tiny. Every request sounds reasonable. And together, they add up to 40 minutes of not sleeping. This is not your child being manipulative. It is a completely normal developmental move. They are testing where the edge of bedtime actually is. Your job is to show them, calmly and kindly, exactly where it is. Before bedtime even starts, decide what the last thing will be. One book, one song, one final cuddle. Tell your child in advance, after this book, it will be sleep time. That is the last one. When the moment arrives and they ask for one more, stay warm but firm. Say, "That was the last one. Everything else is for tomorrow. Good night." That is the script. 3 short sentences. If your child asks again, do not re-explain. Do not justify. Say only, "Tomorrow," "Good night," and then stop speaking. If your child escalates with a bigger request, a drink, the bathroom, something urgent, handle a genuine need quickly and wordlessly. A sip of water, a quick trip to the toilet, no conversation, then back to, "Tomorrow, good night." The Dutch principle underneath this script is regelmaat, regularity. Researchers who study Dutch family rhythms have found that one of the strongest predictors of consolidated toddler sleep is a bedtime that arrives at the same time, in the same sequence, with the same endpoint every single night. The reason the one last thing script works is not because you are being strict. It is because you are being predictable. A child whose bedtime has a clear, consistent edge stops testing it, usually within a week or 2, because there is nothing left to discover. The edge is always in the same place. That consistency is not a cage. It is, according to Dutch developmental research, one of the most powerful forms of safety a young child can have. Use this script on the hardest nights. The nights when your child genuinely cannot settle. They are not stalling. They are not manipulating. They are just wide awake, a little overwhelmed, and needing you. Most parents at this point do what instinct tells them to. They talk, they rub backs, they sing, They try to engage their way out of it. The Dutch approach does the opposite. This is where the boring parent principle earns its name. When your child cannot settle, sit down on a chair or on the floor next to the bed. Stay close enough that they can see you, and say, "I am right here. I am not going to talk. It is time to rest. That is it." Then stop talking. Actually, stop. If your child tries to start a conversation, do not answer. A small, kind shake of the head is enough. You can quietly say once more, "I am not going to talk. It is rest time." Then back to silence. If your child cries softly or fidgets, stay. Do not fill the silence. Your presence is the message. You are not ignoring them. You are right there. But you are also not turning the moment into a performance. Researchers who study what Dutch parents call calm co-regulation have found that physical presence without verbal engagement is one of the most effective ways to help an overstimulated young child settle. The science behind it is straightforward. When you talk, sing, or rub, however lovingly, you are giving the child's nervous system something to track. Their brain stays online, waiting for the next input. When you sit silently, there is nothing new to track. The brain has nowhere to go but down. Dutch parents sometimes describe this approach as being a quiet piece of furniture. You are there, you are safe, you are entirely uninteresting. And in that safe, uninteresting presence, your child's body finally gets the signal it has been waiting for. Nothing is happening. It is okay to sleep. If you tried one of these scripts tonight and your child still fought bedtime, that is not a failure. That is a nervous system that has been running on the old pattern for months or years, and it needs a few nights to catch up. Researchers who study behavioral sleep change in young children have consistently found that new bedtime routines typically take between 5 and 14 nights to fully settle in. Not one night, not two. Sometimes 2 weeks of quiet, repeated, almost boring consistency before the resistance melts. Before that threshold, your child's brain is still expecting the old script, the long routine, the negotiation, the extra questions. After it, something clicks, and the new script becomes the expected one. The sameness is the work. One thing to watch for, and this is something Dutch sleep researchers flag specifically, is whether the hour before bedtime is actually calm. If the house is loud, the screens are on, and the lights are bright until the exact moment the script begins, you are asking your child to break from 90 kilometers an hour to a full stop in 60 seconds. Dutch homes tend to wind down gradually. Dinner is early. The hour before bed is dim, quiet, unhurried. That slow descent is part of the script's working. It is not just the words at the bedside. It is the whole evening leaning gently in the same direction, toward rest. To recap, 3 scripts, 1 Dutch principle. Bedtime is a transition, not a performance. First, the sleep is boring script. Close the book, turn the light down, and say, "It is quiet time now. The day is done. I love you. Good night." Same 4 sentences every night in the same order. Second, the one last thing script. Decide the last thing in advance. When they ask for more, stay warm, but say, "That was the last one. Everything else is for tomorrow." Good night. Do not re-explain. Do not justify. Third, the "I will sit here quietly" script. When they truly cannot settle, sit close and say, "I am right here. I am not going to talk. It is time to rest." Then be, gently, a quiet piece of furniture. That is it. No hour-long routines, no negotiations, no bargaining. Just a short, quiet, almost dull handover from day to night. And if it feels strange the first few nights, parents who adopt this approach say the same thing. It gets easier. The calm becomes the culture of your evenings, and somewhere around night 7 or 8, you will notice your child is already half asleep before you have finished the script. Keep going. Save this video. You will want these 3 scripts at bedtime tonight. And if you found this useful, the next video covers what Japanese parents do during a toddler tantrum. A technique so calm it looks like they are doing nothing, but the research behind it is extraordinary. It is already waiting for you.